good time once again. 10 o'clock on a Saturday evening, and what a day. Beautiful day, the sun's been shining, and you know, I've done something very, very exciting. I went out and bought a new Hoover. Yet you think I'm joking, don't you? Yes, I did. Now I've suck well. Realised that the old one had obviously, had it years ago, but there you go.
I can do you an upbeat stab.
Go on then.
Would you like an upbeat stab? We'll have an upbeat stab instead of a sax logo stab. This is upbeat stab. Tell me what you think of this one. Oh yeah, that's good, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that one.
I'd bounce them out with that one.
All right, go on,
Are you
play
ready?
it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here it comes. Oh, wow! Doesn't that make you feel better?
First in the south, this is Solent on 96.1 FM from the BBC.
On 95.2 FM, this is the Big History with Lee Williams on BBC Radio Oxford.
This is Henry Hall speaking, and this is BBC Radio Medway.
And this is Jimmy Mack, firmly established behind the Medway mic, inviting you to sample an evening of Medway magic.
This is the new Medway radio station speaking. But it is more than the voice of a radio station. It is the voice of a would-be friendly neighbour welcoming you, as we hope you welcome us, with news and views and a little personal gossip.
7 o'clock Saturday morning, weekend special kicks off with national news, and from then until 9 there'll be music, record requests, local comment music, news, travel information music, weather music, and a special piece that'll only happen on Saturdays, Cooking with Gina, and of course, music.
This is BBC Radio Medway's first live news bulletin read by Tony Revitt. There's jubilation throughout the county tonight over the Roskill Commission's recommendation that Foulness should not be the site of London's third airport.
Get away from it all, where there's always something in the air.
Join the jet set on BBC Radio Medway.
Sensational radio.
Some of the first voices heard on BBC Radio Medway 25 years ago, and that's theme tune, Medway Magic.
Welcome back to the Solent Years with Gethin Jones. Back to the early 1970s again.
BBC Essex Travel, keeping the county moving.
4.5 minutes to 11, the latest from Matthew Schofield.
The M11's not having a very good morning. Matthew Schofield, AA Road Watch.
BBC Essex Travel News.
While the Speckled Band was on, I had a phone call from Vicky. Thank you very much for your company. I'll be back on New Year's Day. Hope you will be able to join me then. After the 11 o'clock news, a very special programme as we welcome Jerry Hayes and friends. Have a good weekend.
From around the county, Britain and across the world, on FM 95.3 and 103.5, this is BBC Essex News. This is BBC Essex on FM 103.5 and 95.3.
And now...
We have all become...
9 minutes past 6.
The evening news on BBC Southern Counties Radio.
Good evening, Good evening, 6:32. Here's the weather forecast for tonight. The rain will slowly die out towards midnight and the winds will ease to become light southerlies. Lowest temperatures around 5:41. Tomorrow, Friday, dry with some hazy sunshine tomorrow morning, but like today, the clouds will increase in the afternoon. We might have some rain about tea time-ish. Tomorrow's high, quite mild again, 7:45, and moderate southeasterly winds. Now tonight's business.
Call Adrian Love now on 0645 570057.
Lines as
Your regular weather report across Sussex, Surrey and North East Hampshire.
This is Helen Griffith.
On the road.
All talk, all the time. BBC Southern Counties Radio.
Closest to the county, BBC Radio Berkshire.
Good afternoon. 94.9 GLR.
Travel update from the BBC on Radio Kent.
Time to find out how it's looking on those roads. And Warren's at the EAA. Afternoon, Warren.
Want to hear it again? Oh no, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this now because it's not queued itself up. Here we go then. Okay, and you win yourself a meal for two as it's a Friday. Also, I'll be having a word with the man that makes Lucy go all sort of weak at the knees. Peachy. yeah, I know. Mr. Dreamboat. Is that right? What else? Oh yes, you've got the hits and headlines for today. Yes, the one and only 26th of January. It's Australia Day, so I'm sure we'll mention a bit of the Antipodes down there somewhere. It's all here on 104.1 and 95.4, closest to the county. This is BBC Radio Berkshire, where the time is 12 midday, and the 12 o'clock news is read by Ben Williams.
BBC Radio Berkshire Travel News.
Okay, to the roads right now.
Closest to the county, Phil Kennedy on BBC Radio Berkshire.
It's time now for a travel update. The time just after 7:20.
And we'll start off with the M4.
On 95.2 FM, this is BBC Radio Oxford with Jonathan Hancock. BBC Radio Oxford Travel News.
And once again, we join Warren Lee at AA Roadwatch.
On 95.2 FM, this is BBC Radio Oxford.
And Kazan reporting. BBC Radio Oxford News, it's 7:05.
On 95.2 FM, this is BBC Radio Oxford with Yanis Darras. On 95.2 FM, this is BBC Radio Oxford. BBC Radio Oxford Sports Desk. BBC
BBC Radio Berkshire travel news.
Right, taking a look around the Shire Hall cameras now. The M4 Junction 89 still a little bit busy back towards Junction, from Junction 89 through the roadworks up to Junction 7. We're going eastbound here, and that is starting to ease, though, easing off gradually as the morning wears on. Westbound, it's still quite busy on the westbound carriageway at Junction 8 and 9, which is rather strange. But the A355 Windsor and Eton Relief Road, well, that's turned around completely now. The northbound carriageway seems to be all right up to the motorway at Junction 6, but going into Windsor, traffic is quite slow southbound back to the back into Windsor, back to the River Bridge, I think. Public transport, no problems on the mainline train services. Buses looking good, and the London Underground also no problems there.
Looking particularly attractive with all those birthday candles around.
Particularly attractive, yes. The ribbon gives it a certain je ne sais quoi.
Thanks, Tony. 12 minutes to 9.
Closest to the county. Andrew Peach in the morning on BBC Radio Berkshire.
Cross-party.
Closest to the county. Andrew Peach on BBC Radio Berkshire.
Good evening from Paul Kemp.
BBC News for Oxfordshire and Berkshire.
The news at 10 o'clock with Gordon Rogers. The Israeli...
Oxfordshire and Berkshire. News, talk and entertainment from BBC Local Radio. Across Oxfordshire and Berkshire. News, talk and entertainment from BBC Local Radio. BBC Travel News. BBC News for Oxfordshire and Berkshire.
Centurion and also Fly was the single we played live. That's it from me, Jeremy Nicholas. Back tomorrow lunchtime. That's Saturday with GLR's Greatest Hits, and then back on Monday. The news is next, and after the news at 4, it'll be Peter Curran.
Doctors.
GLR on 94.9 FM, putting London first.
Good afternoon. It's James Lush at Drive Time on Solent 96.1 FM from the BBC.
International
after Bob. Thank you, Peter. And if you're heading out to the southwest, the A3, the Kingston Road townbound, there are tollbacks to Tibbets Underpass caused by heavy weighted traffic. East London suffering very badly this evening. There's a broken down heavy goods vehicle in the Blackwall Tunnel, hence these huge delays right the way back up to and including the Bow flyover and the underpass. Also to the east, it's bad at the Rotherhide Tunnel. They've just towed a bus out of the northbound Bore, and part of High Street in Stratford is closed due to an incident with delays and diversions in that area. So East London, not the place to get stuck this evening. M25 still very busy, clockwise 12 to 17, anti-clockwise coming down from 15 from Heathrow down to Staines, and it's also very busy London bound coming in from the airport on the M4. Update in full on GLR and a rail news report at 6:20.
Sitting here next week on Monday, it'll be Johnny Walker and Mark Lamar will be with you between 4 and 6 for the rest of the week. Have a good one.
Thank you, Peter. 6 o'clock. Drive time. Nick and Joe.
Magic.
It's a 90.
BBC Greater London Radio with 2020 travel from Scotland Yard. Just a reminder, over in West London, Old Brompton Road is closed between North End Road and the Boltons after last night's explosion. You'll find diversions operating. In South London, the Blackwall Tunnel Southern Approach very slow northbound because of restrictions for roadworks approaching the tunnel. Albert Embankment is closed eastbound at the Lambeth Bridge roundabout. That's because of roadworks. You'll find diversions via Vauxhall Bridge. And Putney Bridge Road at Armoury Way, there are gas repairs going on there. The junction is down to one lane. That's currently causing tailbacks onto West Hill. Over in East London, the Blackwall Tunnel Northern Approach, various restrictions southbound. Also, the A13 underpass is closed, so again we have diversions. And Commercial Street, very slow near Shoreditch High Street, just sheer weight of traffic there, and there are some lane restrictions for roadworks. And up in North London, Eversholt Street at Oakley Square, Northwest 1, there are some roadworks there, single alternate line traffic until midday. GLR on 94.9 FM, the next travel update at 10:20.
BBC Southern Counties Radio.
Of course, it's BBC Southern Counties Radio.
Rosemary, enjoy a bright new radio station for Oxfordshire and Berkshire on this frequency. BBC Thames Valley FM will be on the air 20 hours a day between 5 a.m. and 1 a.m. 7 days a week, with an improved news service, travel every 15 minutes at peak times, sport, weather, features, entertainment and music. And we'll keep you up to date with everything happening in your area from studios in Reading, Banbury, Abingdon, Slough, Oxford and Newbury. So remember, starting on Tuesday the 9th of April, Oxfordshire and Berkshire will have a new radio station, Thames Valley FM from the BBC.
Phil Kennedy in the afternoon.
And overnight work.
Your regular weather report across Sussex, Surrey and North East Hampshire.
And at the weather centre this evening, people.
And that music tells us once again, the morning news team have gathered for daily worship to the God News. The headlines in a moment to whet your appetite, and the weather, the travel and the newspapers.
Guildford, Hove, Wadhurst, Horsham, Camberley, Petworth and Rye. This is BBC Southern Counties Radio.
It's 5:30. I'm Jackie Barron.
Not a good day to be a British cattle farmer. However, it's good news for BBC Southern Counties Radio. It's the new look to the morning news. And now you can hear the difference.
In Epsom, Littlehampton, Eastbourne, Fleet, Midhurst, Caterham and Crowborough, this is BBC Southern Counties Radio.
Good morning, it's 8 o'clock on Friday the 22nd of March. I'm Al Clark. Now the day's main news, sport, travel and weather.
The crisis, Barron.
More sport, more often on BBC Southern Counties Radio.
7
You know where you are with BBC Southern Counties Radio Travel.
Motorway check, Tim Summers is at A Road Watch.
We still have a bit of patchy fog and some misty conditions out.
BBC Southern Counties Radio Weather. Whenever you listen, you're never more than half an hour away from our exclusive news, weather and travel sequence at BBC Southern Counties Radio.
It's 5:05. Good evening. In a moment.
BBC Southern Counties Radio. We're not what you expect.
7 to 9.
You never know what's next at BBC Southern Counties Radio.
OK, it's 28 minutes to 10. John Hunt with you until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Good to have you.
You want a radio station where you always know what's coming next? Then go somewhere else. Hear the difference from BBC Southern Counties Radio. The BBC Southern Counties Radio difference.
You are indeed listening to the BBC Southern Counties Radio difference. BBC Southern Counties Radio, I'm Alistair Monk.
BBC Southern Counties Radio Travel with RDS. Car radios that think.
Good evening. Starting with the motor check, M25 between junctions 6 to 8 Godstone to Reigate. Traffic is extremely busy through the works this evening.
There, Wendy, of course we will. Boots blacked. Very good evening, it's 6:45, the evening news with Ed Douglas here. Till 9 tonight.
It's 12:31. Good afternoon and welcome to London Live. I'm Nikki O'Donnell. On the show this lunchtime, as John Major tries to persuade our European partners to buy our beef, we find out why some scientists are claiming the BSE scare was caused by a funding crisis in British research. Speculation about a merger between BT and Cable & Wireless continues. Their share prices are up, but what does it mean for the real world outside the city? And keep your eye on those car boot sales. It's worth wading through the tack. The people at Christie's should know they're just about to sell a painting that was bought for £35 and will go for thousands.
If you're in the right place at the right time and you see something which you believe to be of good quality or which you like, then follow your instincts.
All that plus travel, finance and in sport. We look ahead to Chelsea's prospects in the FA Cup semi-final, all coming up between now and 1:30.
What is that object? If you know, then give me a call. 0645 570057. A special message for Tony Gibbons in Woking. Tony, if you're listening, make it this evening that you give us a call. We'll see you after the news.
Crawley, Seaford, Camberley, Singleton, Hazelmere, Dorking and Rye. This is BBC Southern Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock.
This is Ed Douglas, and do you know what BSE stands for in my book? Big Sporting Extravaganza. And there's a BSE each night on BBC Southern Counties Radio between 8 and 9. We call it Sports Talk. It's the sporting talk of the Southern Counties. BSE, be there for the main sports stories. You've been mad not to listen.
You never know what's next at BBC Southern Counties Radio.
Was that a sting or was it a stab? What do you reckon?
I don't know. I don't know which way to take that one.
Well, it could have been a sting, could have been a stab.
Could be.
You're not having a guess.
No, not on those.
Not on that.
I'd like to say what the difference is between the stab.
Well, look, I'm going to play that. I'm going to play the other one. Try this one. See what you reckon this one sounds like. Ready? Now that's longer, that one, isn't it?
It's definitely longer. It's sweeter as well.
Sweeter?
Yeah.
You prefer that? Smoother, sweeter, stylier. Was that a stab or a sting?
I think it's a sting because it's coming up from behind you, not quite taking
right, not quite taking it. But the other one, this one, that's a stab.
It's much more direct.
That's a direct, stabby type thing.
I'd agree with that.
Okay, then. Well, that's the difference between a stab and a sting. The sting lasts longer than the stab, but the stab is smoother or stingier. And it comes up behind you. I think we've got that sorted out with style. We need a bit of style on this programme. We certainly don't have it normally.
BBC Radio Oxford and Phil Ratz.
lunchtime news today, we report on the financial crisis facing Southampton hospitals. Dorset's Director of Social Services claims it'll affect services across the south. And as Portsmouth plans to double the number of CCTV cameras in the city centre, Gosport Police launch a scheme to film juveniles and play it back to their parents.
Listening to Solent, the BBC station for Hampshire, Dorset and the Isle of Wight.
It's 3 o'clock. This is Paul Curley with BBC News for the South on Solent 96.1 FM.
And I'm Adam Kirtley. This is Berkshire Tonight. We are here until 7 o'clock. On 104.1 and 95.4 FM, closest to the county, this is BBC Radio Berkshire. Now, though, it's 6 o'clock and it's time for the news with Tiffany Foster.
BBC News for Oxfordshire and Berkshire.
Those little pips can mean only one thing. It's 10 o'clock, it's a Sunday evening, and I'm Paul Miller. Welcome to The Late Show here on Solent from the BBC and close to the county, BBC Radio Berkshire. For the last time, it's our last evening with Radio Berkshire, so if you're listening in Berkshire land and you've never been on the programme and you've been dying to get on, tonight is the night to do it. We're going to be talking about Easter and the fact that lots of the shops have been doing strange things just to comply with the law, and finding out whether or not you would like the shops actually to be open or whether you think we should go back to being very, very solemn over the bank holiday. It all
Closest to the county, for news about the county, BBC Radio Berkshire.
Good afternoon from me, Richard Williams. This is it then, the very last sports show from BBC Radio Berkshire. Comes Saturday, the new improved Thames Valley FM Sport. And as we prepare to bow out, we're looking for wins for both sides. 104.1, 95.4, closest to the county. This is BBC Radio Berkshire. Coming up on 3 o'clock, the news with Dan Whitehead.
On 104.1 Western Central and 95.4 in the East. This is BBC Radio Berkshire.
Coming up shortly with Ed Douglas, BBC Southern Counties Radio. Now you can hear the difference.
Woking, Camber, Polegate, Cookfield, Sunbury, Esher and Worthing. This is BBC Southern Counties Radio.
And that brings us to the end of the line for today's sports special and for BBC Radio Oxford. From tomorrow at 5 a.m, the brighter sound of Thames Valley FM takes to the airwaves. It's the new BBC radio station for Oxfordshire and Berkshire, and many of your favourite voices will be heard on Thames Valley FM. From all those who've worked for and contributed to BBC Radio Oxford over the past 25 years, thank you for listening and goodbye.
Good morning, it's 5 o'clock on Tuesday the 9th of April, 1996.
BBC Thames Valley FM.
I'm Jonathan Hancock, and I'll be here with you every weekday morning from 5 o'clock on the BBC's new station for Oxfordshire and Berkshire on 95.2 and 104.1. This is the new Thames Valley FM.
It's 5:31 on Thames Valley FM, and now a quick look at our top national news lines.
Serving Berkshire from studios in Newbury, Slough and Reading on 104.1. This is Thames Valley FM from the BBC.
It's 6 o'clock. I'm Louise Burt. Good morning. 50 years of stalemate between people in Oxfordshire and Berkshire over the building of a controversial new bridge could soon be at an end. Thames Valley FM has learned that a plan's being drawn up.
Very good morning to you. Yep, the holidays are over and it's back to work. It's still a little bit early for the traffic to be causing any major problems, but as the rush hour gets underway, there are a few trouble spots to be watching out for. Thames Valley Police are reporting that the traffic lights at the Rose Revived Public House on the A415 at Newbridge Whitney are out, and they won't be repaired until after the rush hour. St Peter Street in Wallingford has been made one way at its junction with Thames Street. Lane restrictions are in operation on the Radley Road in Abingdon due to resurfacing work, and Gillett's Lane in Harpston, just outside Henley, will be closed today and tomorrow to carry out essential maintenance work. Now with news of the M40, the M4 and the major roads out of the region, here's Tim at the AA.
Well, so far we're off to a good start today if you're heading onto the motorways. In fact, I've checked in with the police, everything's looking good, M4, M40, and the western stretch of the M45 traffic is moving well. Further afield, if you're travelling between Reading and Woking on the A329M, the flow is very good, and the M42 in towards Birmingham also looking well. In fact, today should be a good day for motorway traffic. It will be a little bit busy with people returning back to the work, but we will find that people will return over the course of the week. Tim Summers, AA Road Watch.
And there are no problems reported on any of the buses or the trains. Getting you there faster, this is Sarah Campbell in the Thames Valley Travel Centre. I'll be back with an update in 15 minutes.
Thames Valley FM. BBC Thames Valley FM Helpline.
Oh, what a perfectionist. Yes, good afternoon from the Helpline again. This is David Clargo with more requests and pleas for help across the Thames Valley.
Thames Valley FM. Thames Valley FM.
The weather.
serving Oxfordshire from studios in Abingdon, Banbury and Oxford on 95.2. This is Thames Valley FM from the BBC.
7 o'clock, I'm Rebecca Broxton.
Thames Valley FM. Thames Valley FM.
London Radio, 94.9 FM.
Adrian Love on BBC Southern Counties Radio. '95 to 95.3 and 104 to 104.8 FM. BBC Southern Counties Radio. BBC Southern Counties Radio.
Just gone 10:30 on The Late Show.
Adrian Love on BBC Southern Counties Radio.
Good afternoon. It's Adrian Love with you until 5. Love in the afternoon on BBC Southern Counties Radio. As we progress through the afternoon, businesses say yes to the Yvonne Arnaud Theatre. Good news there. More on BSE. Or was it somebody said it stands now for Buy Something Else? Comedian, traveller and good egg Helen Lederer will be joining us as well. And we'll be looking at the Irish situation, particularly within the English or the British House of Commons following yesterday's by-election.
Good up.
Thames Valley FM.
Just gone 3.
Thames Valley FM. Thames Valley FM.
After a double, we had a triple.
BBC Thames Valley FM Travel.
You betcha Bippy, love those stiff winds. Right, let's check on the travel now with the AA and Sean Sloan.
Well, good evening.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, getting you there faster. Traffic news from the Thames Valley FM Travel Centre.
Thames Valley FM.
Serving Berkshire and Oxfordshire on 95.2 and 104.1. This is Thames Valley FM from the BBC.
It's 8 o'clock, I'm Alison Booker. Thames Valley FM News from the BBC.
BBC Thames Valley FM. BBC Thames Valley FM.
And it's the Late Show, Ian McGregor to midnight, talking Trekkie this hour. Weather-wise, by the way, dry tonight.
That's great. 3:31 right now.
Thames Valley FM.
Okay.
Thames Valley
And it's Andy Hitchcock.
BBC Thames Valley FM.
Hello.
Get serious in a minute.
Oh, it's so exciting, this music. It's so exciting. Clears throat. Does BBC bit.
You're listening to the BBC. Radio Solent. First in the South. 96.1. Solent, BBC. The News. 2 o'clock. Serious.
It's 2 o'clock. I'm Moira Hickey.